Hello and welcome back to round 6 from Cannes Special Championships. I am Lydia Humbach and I am joined
by Connor Hayward, Doomsday94, for what is... It's one of those ones where, again, I'm walking around the room and then people are like, oh yeah, so-and-so's playing this weird deck, and I'm like, wait, they're doing well with this?
And you're like, yeah, what does this card even do?
So there's a Shuckle.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Some Alolan Exeggutors.
I mean, Alolan Exeggutor makes sense. Look outside.
I mean, it's the right weather for it.
We have the beach. I couldn't imagine a more fitting place to play Alolan Exeggutor. We just heard we have repairing, so we really hope it will not affect our table. Table 8. Was that our table?
No, we're fine.
No, we're fine. We can start our match. So actually, who's playing against who?
Table 47.
He's going through in weird order.
26. Table 98.
I think we're fine.
It's not in order.
70,
it's an alphabetical.
105. 70, 11, 28.
Just repair everybody.
100,
I think we're fine.
But if this is the matchup we have...
Yeah, we have Luke Kirkham from Great Britain versus Kristian Hodas from Czech Republic.
And he's playing a Zapdos Jirachi with Buzzballs.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a while.
Well, I mean, Luke is giving us the spice here.
Yeah, true.
So we can't complain. Luke is turning up in... he is really coming up with a spicy little list with some Alolan Exeggutors in here. This is the one that does more damage for each type of basic energy, which previously we've seen be used. You can use it with a lot of different types of basic energy, which previously meant it had a lot of different tech attackers. Like you play exactly one Buzzwole because you can use the fighting energy. But now I don't think that's a problem.
So let's see, I think they are already set up.
Yep.
They're just placing their prize cards, so if you could switch to the players, that would be awesome.
So, more or less ready. They've knocked the camera again. They do this, but now you can probably hear us properly over the announcements. We're sat right next to a speaker.
Very sorry, the announcements are quite loud here. So, I think they're ready to go.
Okay, so we actually have a bit of time whilst we wait. So maybe we can go to the prize cards. We can have a look at the prize cards quickly.
Yeah, let's just look at the prize cards.
Whilst we wait, because we're just waiting for the rounds.
I think they're waiting for the whole round to start. But actually we can just give them a go. So
yeah, we keep time for them anyway, so this is fine.
Maybe we can start talking about the Alolan Exeggutor. So it has an
there's
attack.
a new one in Team Up. I didn't know that.
Oh, me neither.
So that'll be an interesting one to look up in a minute.
So Alolan Exeggutor, stage 1.
Yep.
160 HP.
Yep.
Dragon type. You don't see that very often. And it has one attack only, Tropical Shake, Grass Energy, 20 damage plus.
20 more.
This attack does 20 more damage for each type of...
basic energy in your discard. See, I know some of this because it's a meme. But here Luke is, bringing in the memes. He's part of the Complexity Card Great Gaming Group. There's an awful lot of very good players in that group. They all test and discuss stuff together. And I guess occasionally they come up with some wacky little ideas like this.
I mean, that's definitely what you can call it, a wacky little idea.
But I think the bulk of this, the game plan for Luke here is, these things have 160 hit points.
Yeah, I mean, that's
prices.
a lot.
That is not going anywhere in a hurry. That is going to be a fairly hard thing to knock out, especially for Kristian playing the Zapdos deck.
Yep.
We can see that it hits 80 fairly consistently, but only has so many ways of boosting damage. The 4 Electro Power are very useful, but he only has 4.
Yeah, yes,
and the choice bands do nothing here.
As most lists are.
So he has 2 Kukui and the choice bands, 2 choice bands. So he has some damage modifiers, but not. And to be able to take a single KO, it's double Electro Power and Kukui. And switch that turn. And since Luke is able to attack very efficiently, he's also playing things like custom catcher, and no ways to heal, so he's just going to say, right, okay, once he's taking damage, it's fine. But he's able to kind of keep attacking fairly quickly.
Yeah, so what we're seeing here is it's Luke's turn. He started with I only have the German name. Exeggutor. Yeah, and a Digital Prism Star on his bench. He managed to place the stadium already, and we see an Ultra Ball throwing away Mystery Treasure and a Marshadow. Well, we also haven't seen the non-GX Marshadow today, so it's nice to have it still seen some play.
Yeah, well, it's one of those cards where it's a free disruption and free draw.
Yeah.
So, especially what happens with the Jirachi is you accumulate lots of cards, because you're not going to play them all. And what Luke can do now is he has the option to go Marshadow, get rid of your hand. Yep. You have to accumulate, like if you need a big turn, which to take a KO on an Exeggutor, you somehow do. You need multiple cards.
Exactly.
Oh dear. And being able to do it is going to make a big difference to taking KOs for Kristian, because otherwise he's just not going to get to those knockouts quick enough.
Yeah. Actually, it's the first time I'm seeing that Exeggutor design. It's quite a nice card. It's one of those realistic designs. I like those. You don't see them very often. But going back to the game, we see that it's Kristian's turn now, and I think he still looks a bit confused. Probably not entirely sure what kind of deck he's facing. Well, if you're playing those rough decks, you need to find a way of facing their strategy. If you know their strategy already, maybe you first need to find out what kind of strategy you're even facing. So,
well, it's also, you don't expect to get, when you get the full one, you're doing fairly well in the tournament. Yeah. Which means that you sit down to go, to play your game out, and you kind of know, or you expect to have an idea of what's opposite you.
You expect.
I'm done. But you are in a position where you have a game plan in place, and suddenly you sit down opposite you, and they go, right, that's an egg, and you go, I've got to hatch a new plan. Yeah. And especially because there is a new one from Team Up. So the new Alolan Exeggutor from Team Up as well is also included in this list. 2 attacks. One lets you discard cards from your hand and draw until you have 6, so it can keep you cycling. Okay. And is also a really good way of fueling all the energy you need in the discard. And then Egg Splat, which is 60 times the number of Execute you discard from your hand that turn. Oh wow! So it means that you can actually hit 240 if you evolve a Ditto and have 4 eggs in your hand. That sounds insane and expanded.
That's certainly going to be an exciting match.
No, I'm done.
I'm working on this egg joke so hard.
Yeah, it's cracking. So we see the board is bizarre already on Luke's side, and you can see that Kristian's going, okay, I'm just going to switch. I'm just going to take a KO. I'm going to get the Jirachi. We can start taking the knockouts.
But what he doesn't know is that actually it's not bad for Luke if these eggs are in the discard.
It will be.
Oh,
because
well, yeah,
he needs
to
evolve.
discard
he has
them,
to have them in hand to discard them. But I'm guessing he has ways of recovering various cards. So he has Netball, so he can search them easier. Double Rescue Stretcher, so he can put them back into his hands.
And we see the first Electro Power.
Taken, but not necessarily played yet. It kind of seems a waste on a 40 HP Execute.
Yes. It does.
The Shrine of Punishment in play for both players is basically pointless. There is a Tapu Koko GX, and that is it between these 2 decks for multiple prize attackers. But 1 egg down. Kristian is also in a position to be able to take a second KO. If he this turn with retreat and Zapdos again, and it just keeps Luke having to keep working to evolve just to get out of danger. Yeah. Then he can worry about taking prize cards.
Yep, very true.
So another Ultra Ball. These decks have so much search, and there is the Wobbuffet. for Kristian. I don't know if he's going to use it much this game. It's not necessarily going to help too much because he just needs to take the KOs. He's going to bench it.
I wonder if Kristian already knows what exactly Exeggutor does.
Well, he knows that if he gets rid of them and keeps knocking them out, he doesn't have to learn what the Exeggutor does.
Yeah.
If he can keep taking a KO every turn, he will eventually just win the game because his opponent is out of ways of attacking.
Yep, yep.
Especially because Luke really wants to save those stretches to occasionally use the attack. I suppose. I'm assuming the Egg Splat is an option for him. I don't know if that's actually ever part of his game plan.
I mean, we will see.
But, you know, it might be in certain matchups, maybe not in this one, because he can hit 110 with the other Alolan Exeggutor. So, both of these players have a lot of cards in their decks, which would be considered dead right now.
I think Luke scooped.
Yeah.
He decided that this game was not going the way he wanted it to be.
I did have a chat with him.
They forgot their prize cards. I hope they still remember it.
Yeah. So maybe if someone can go quickly remind them about their prize cards. But I think I was having a chat with Luke just before the RAM was paired up.
Yeah.
So we could go, right, cool.
Are their prize cards still on there? No. Okay.
Good. You know, and he was like, oh, well, because like, right, it seems like a really cool deck. And he was like, it's not, it's rubbish. But he's 4-1. So it speaks a lot for the quality of the player. If you can take a deck that even you think is bad and still get to 4-1.
But why is he playing it then?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know occasionally the complexity card players do this thing where they have a competition for the IC. Where they do a sweepstake to see who's going to get the highest, and if they don't, they have to play like certain cards picked by the other players. I don't know if that's what they've done here, and he's somehow gone 4-1.
I mean, he's probably having lots of fun. So, yeah.
So, both players more or less set up now. Getting ready for game 2. Hopefully Luke can actually evolve into the Exeggutors this time, so that he can get the large 160 HP single prize attacker onto the board, start taking some knockouts of his own. His hand doesn't look fantastic, if I'm honest.
There we see the prize cards. Oh, 2 Guzmas already. And 2 Jirachis on Kristian's side.
That's actually really big, because that's a lot of his switch cards. He's actually playing a higher switch card count than
I guess he's only
he's
playing 4 Jirachi, so...
Here's the 4 Jirachi, he's playing 2 Escape Rope, 3 Switch, 4 Guzma. So he has a lot more switch options, so it's not the end of the world, but it does make his start a little... Well, he has to work a lot harder to start taking that first KO.
Yeah.
Especially because going second, he's actually not so bothered. Most of the time when you're going second in a matchup, you're at an inherent disadvantage because of the fact that you are unable to take the KOs quickly, because your opponent evolves before you get there. But with the fact that Zapdos is able to do 80 damage quite so easily, it's not so much of a problem for the decks based around it. And with Jirachi, you are consistent enough. Starting the Absol for Kristian is not ideal either, but because the Exeggutors have 4 retreat. Everything has fairly high retreat anyway.
Yeah, because it's a very high palm tree.
It's quite a big tree.
Yeah.
So the shrine
it's
and a lily.
Quite hard to move.
So Luke Kirkham able to draw up to a hand of 8 on his first turn. A couple of cards he already had in play, and just has to pass after a lily to 8. That's never what you want to see. Normally you're hoping to keep your turn going by hitting a load of cards from the lily.
And Luke does not look happy.
No, he has what appear to be quite a few custom catches in his hand. Which again does make me think this might be one of the CCG we've picked some cards for your deck lists. I'll ask him about it later. I can see why it would be here.
Turn 1 here from Kristian. That's also not the supporter you're wishing for.
Oh, he's not a Nespo, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, I can kind of see the reasoning from Luke that could land you on this deck of it's single prize, so you're not losing to the prize trade to the other single prize attackers.
Yeah.
It has more HP and can actually knock them out. So you can kind of see where you would maybe land on this. It has flexibility in the 2 Exeggutors. The Shuckle, in theory, makes it fairly consistent, but he's prized one of them. And the first nest ball for Kristian is a Jirachi.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the number of times that I've said the words nest ball for Jirachi, and I'm going to say it over the course of this weekend, it really is one of the most powerful engines we've seen in the game for a long time.
Yeah, it was like Ultra Ball, Tapu Lele, Bridget. Now it is Nest Ball Jirachi.
Yeah, but the thing is with the Ultra Ball Tapu Lele Bridget that was your supporter, you had to discard 2 cards, and you had to put a GX Pokemon in play.
Yeah.
Now, what happened here instead is Chris has gone, well, great, I still have my support for turn. Well, he doesn't, he had Kukui, but he can still have a support for turn. He's only had to bench a single price Pokemon at the cost of having a Jirachi in the active position, which is not really a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Jirachi obviously is a great support Pokemon, but I mean, it does not really have a lot of HP, so it's also an easy knockout, but of course, only 1 prize.
And that was a Tails on the Sleep. And we finally see an Exeggutor in play. It is the grass type one from Forbidden Legends, I believe. Forbidden Light, even.
Oh, yes. With its tropical shake attack.
It is because whilst the Dragon one's great, we don't see many Dragon type Pokemon being played. Doesn't hit anything for weakness. And since you're kind of capped at the 120 mark with this attack, you need to be able to hit for weakness occasionally. There's no real things weak to grass in this format other than Lycanroc. But you can one-hit KO a Lycanroc GX this way.
Yeah, I was trying to point out, or I thought of pointing out that the Dragon type Alolan Exeggutor is itself weak to Fairy type Pokemon, and there are not a lot of Fairy type Pokemon
but there's also not that
hit
much
it
fire.
for weakness. Yeah, that was what I was just about to say.
Yeah. So
there are hardly any Fire type Pokemon out there at the moment.
And if there are, they Blacephalon and KO Exeggutors as if it's nothing anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a Tropical Shake for 20 because there are no other energy cards in the discard pile for Luke. Kristian, looking at his hand, doesn't seem particularly excited about. I think he took the Cynthia last turn.
Oh, we see.
So the Coco comes in ready.
Cynthia.
We're just going to see the Cynthia because
I mean, at least it's a draw supporter.
yeah, it means he can try and get a fresh hand because clearly the hand he had was not working for him.
No, not really. You see them both laughing.
They're like, yep, this is going well for the both of us, right? You did 20. I had to Cynthia a whole hand away because I had nothing. And so Luke has another grass in hand. Just see what Kristian's just drawn. I think I see a couple of electric powers. He's going to need multiple.
Wish. I mean, at least he has the Jirachi. He has an S-Ball, so...
He can grab himself a Zapdos, I guess.
Yep, that's what we are seeing here. Do you know if he has an energy in hand?
I
would think so.
See one, but he's playing... so he's playing one of the lists with Rainbows and Lightnings. So, turn 1 he had to attach a Rainbow to the Absol to retreat it, so that's 1 down. So it's not hugely likely, but he did have the Rainbow in hand, so there we go.
And an Escape Rope. Putting the Execute in the active position, and that's the first KO of the game.
Yeah.
Kristian drawing his Guzma.
One of the 2 Guzma prized, very important resource. Means that he can basically start chaining these KOs by basically retreating every turn and going, right, that's another knockout, let's go. So, fresh hand for Luke coming up. Hopefully finds a way of discarding a few energies so he can at least do something to this Zapdos. Has only 100 left, so he can get 4 energy into the discard pile. He actually does take the knockout. And being able to do that will be a big deal for him because that means that he can at least start trying to trade efficiently. So, we see a Metal Energy, we see a Lily, we see a Grass. I don't see any way of discarding cards in this hand.
Not really.
Oh no, he had an Ultra Ball, did he? Okay, that's fine. Now we can go, I'm guessing he's going to grab one of the Shuffle or a Marshadow because his hand's not very good.
Marshadow. We're going to see some Let Loose action.
So Let Loose has kind of taken the place of both N and also cards like Shaman. The X used to take of it's a way of drawing more cards and also disrupting your opponent at the same time. It's actually a really viable card.
Yeah,
a lot of decks saw a lot of play.
It can be very destructive in the early game, and it can save you in the late game. So it's kind of the opposite of N.
Well, it's one of those cards where, like, if you get it to play against you turn 1 and you have a handful of cards, you're like, oh, great. I was going to try and play this game, but I don't have any way of doing so. So
it can be quite ugly. I agree.
So, Mysterious Treasure, I think that is, or an Ultra Ball. He's got another egg. He's got to decide now how he wants to go about this, because he can discard the next energy. So there's 2 different types of energy in the discard pile. So his Tropical Shake is now doing 60 damage.
Yeah.
He would still want to find 2 more. If he can get his hands on 2 more, then he's pretty happy. 2 more in the discard pile, and he is able to take KOs very consistently.
And we see the second Exeggutor in Luke's hand.
Execute already on the bench.
Might be evolving.
No, both of the eggs came in to play this.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
So now the Zapdos is weakened, but still not KO'd, and not taking a KO here could be a big deal because now Kristian is able to hit into this fairly comfortably. We know he took a Guzma.
Yep.
If he has a way of getting to an energy, he can basically just go Guzma, give me the Marshadow or one of the eggs on the bench to warm the energy.
Probably the X with the energy, yeah.
And then say, right, get out of here.
But we're seeing a Lily here.
Okay, so he knows he's playing other switch options, so he has access to switch.
He does not have the Guzma anymore because there was a Marshadow.
Ah, yes, of course. So now having to maybe use Escape Rope, it looks like.
Yep.
And
Luke is now considering...
It was a switch.
Yeah, of course, because otherwise
your opponent
Luke would have switched first.
Yes. Makes a big difference actually on Escape Rope if your opponent chooses first, because you can choose your bench.
You can react to it.
So already has the escape board, so there is going to be a decent hit coming in this turn from Kristian. It's going to be at least the 80. He would need multiple ways. He need at least 3 electric powers to take this KO, which is kind of upsetting when you're used to having to at least, with access to Choice Band, which is reusable. It's not so painful to have to burn them to take a KO, but though we have also seen people throwing down 3 electric powers as if it's nothing all day. So,
I mean, sometimes they come in very handy.
So 80 damage now on the Alolan Exeggutor for Luke's turn. Just goes, right, cool, I'm going to attach. Going to KO you.
And there is the Jirachi again.
So,
of course, I mean, it's an easy call. You always want to have it in the active position because you can just retreat it with that escape
especially
board.
When it already has the escape board on it. It means that, because one of the issues with the Jirachi using Stellar Wish is occasionally you have to take the escape board, which means you're not taking something else.
Yeah.
And, okay, it takes you one card further, but it does almost feel like, I wish that was another card. I wish it wasn't stuck asleep in the active position. But once it's already there, it's free.
I mean, once it's there, you don't need it anymore. And you can go for the stuff that you actually need.
So, Ultra Ball, I think that was right. So he knows he can go and grab another attacker. He's going to need multiple. The Buzzwole turn is coming up. I like this line a lot because this says, right, I have 120 next turn. No matter what happens, I have 120. We could also see something like an attachment plus escape rope to hit something in, but I don't even know if he has it. I didn't see if he has the attachment in hand. He doesn't really want to use the Coco. If there's only 1 energy in discard, it doesn't get as much value as he'd want.
I mean, but he has to deal some damage.
So if he can get to 1 energy, he's pretty happy here.
Do we see any energy? I
don't see it.
So.
But he does have, is he playing Thunder Mountain? I assume so, yeah. So he has the Thunder Mountain, so it's fine. The Zapdos no attacks are free.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he can just retreat, take the KO on the active Alolan Exeggutor.
And
there's like 2 prizes ahead, and without having to bench any 2-prize attacker, He's now got a very big advantage in this matchup,
yeah,
where they're exchanging single prize knockouts. So Luke can draw. He says, get rid of that. None of these Thunder Mountain things. This is not okay. Makes his attachment Guzma's, and is now going to use the other
Tropical Shake.
Exeggutor. No, I think that's the new one. I think that's the one from Team Up.
Oh yeah, true.
But this does now put it down to 4 prize cards remaining.
But I think its attack is Tropical Shake anyways. Yeah.
Oh, very fitting for this place. But
yeah,
it's another knockout. So Luke's now having to work particularly hard to take these KOs. Because he can only do 80 at the minute. He hasn't got enough energy in discard. Or 60.
60, yes.
Kristian, there's no way for him to take a one-hit knockout here unless he goes for the Marshadow on the bench. But that does leave the 2 Exeggutors there to be able to take and kind of soak up the damage for a turn, switch to the other one.
Yeah, but I mean, we can see Luke is like sorting the energy from his discard pile. Yeah. There are now 2 different types of energy in it. So that makes how much damage?
There'll be 60 total.
60 total.
20 plus the 2 for the 2 in the discard. Yeah. There might even be a grass in there now. The grass would also count. So
no, I think we would have sorted it out.
Well, he just had something knocked out with a grass energy attached to it, so there's definitely 3 in there.
So it's 80 damage.
Yes.
That's not too much. It's enough for a Jirachi, but still not too much. So it's Kristian's turn now. He is in his Sledgehammer turn. So
he would like to find a way of getting the Buzzwole into the active position.
A rainbow energy.
He does, and he's only used 2. So having to kind of find another one now is a lot more
But his
difficult.
deck looks very thin at the moment, so I'm fairly positive he manages
a lot of
to
decks,
find one.
even though people like back just after rotation, people were saying, "Oh, well, this format's gonna be really slow because we've lost Sycamore."
It's not slow.
It's
at
not.
all.
Decks are burning through their entire resources very quickly. He does have the the lightning energy, so he can at least get the Zapdos online. But he has no way of retreating.
Yeah, he's missing the escape board.
The Jirachi wakes up to face its fear of a gigantic tree slamming into it. So
doing some tropical shakes.
More cards in Luke's hand. Really wants to discard the fire and the psychic energy here. So he can at least try and get something going. He does have the grass in discard. He just went past it. Oh yeah, I knew I had this. I already have the KO. So doesn't need to put anything else into the discard. Doesn't really have to use any resources. Can nest ball here to grab the next egg.
But I think he has an Exeggutor in his hand, so he's just doesn't really want to place it.
But it's also because it's a very easy prize. So it would be. It's one of those situations where now, because he knows Kristian is going to look to take these KOs on the bench, he doesn't. If he's going to bench anything, he has to bench 2 of them. He has to go double execute.
Yeah. Because
otherwise, Kristian has 6 to 1, and it's the same as Luke having done nothing with his whole turn.
I mean, we had this discussion before, talking about Ditto Prism Star and so on. Yeah,
you need to make sure you always have many ways of reaching these cards.
Definitely.
It's a shuckle.
Yeah. So, I'm not entirely sure what Shuckle is doing.
You are not alone with not knowing what Shuckle does.
Oh, there is Shuckle.
So when you play this Shuckle from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic and discard energy cards and discard them. Basically...
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense in this deck.
It's basically, let's just go ahead and make the damage output from my Alolan and Execute a lot better. Exeggutor a lot higher. It's a whole extra 60 damage out of nowhere, so you can hit 120. So between these... and
actually the attack is not that bad too. Energy drink. Attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like.
It's very unlikely I think Luke ever needs that because he already has 6 grass.
Yeah.
But there's a way that
I mean, it's not too bad.
But it is a nice way of accelerating the damage output from Exeggutor. So it can actually reach the numbers that you need to KO a Zapdos fairly quickly. So now it's another Ultra Ball, another Lightning going, and I think that's the Tapu Koko going, because I think Kristian knows that Luke only needs 2 energy in play at any given time, and he's happy. So the Tapu Koko GX attack is never really doing anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's not getting him any use in this very matchup. Oh, actually he decides to shuffle it straight back into his deck.
Well, I think so. On the Ultra Ball, he was hoping to find another Jirachi, and then looked for the other Jirachi and went, oh, it's not there. That's not good. Quick, put them back. Which is sometimes, like, you could argue that this is a step of, like, your sequencing has to be very careful.
Yeah.
And if you suspect that you haven't got one, you might be better off putting them back than grabbing it anyway. Also, he could have just used the stretcher to put it into hand, I guess, if he really wanted it. So we see
Energy
attachment
to Zapdos.
It's only 80 though, and the the Exeggutor just takes the KO in response. So there's enough energy in the discard pile if once Luke plays the Shuckle Down that he can very happily live with this. Though
more than happy,
1, 2, 3,
actually.
4. He can't actually because there's already 2 of the 3 in the discard pile. He actually needs to put the 2 energy back into the deck. He had the Psychic and the Fire, so there was no way of discarding them.
So he plays a Cynthia, obviously hoping to draw into the Shuckle, and no energies.
Yeah, he's going to get an out, which is fairly likely because he's playing multiple Netball, multiple Ultra Ball.
But he only has the 1 Shuckle in his deck. The other one is priced.
But so he did hit the Fire energy. That's really annoying. How many has he got? Let's have a look. He's got 3 energy, so that's 60. So he needs to hit 3 more.
No,
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine actually because he can put the lightning, the fighting, and the fire.
We're seeing a rescue stretcher here.
Putting in one of the egg lines and the Mr. Mime.
Yeah.
Then a netball just to get the egg back.
And the Ditto Prism Star probably going to the bench as well.
Yep.
To make sure he has another option to evolve next turn.
Well, so the Shuckle was on the bottom of the deck, and he's immediately taken it. And just putting these energy cards into the discard pile.
Yeah, Netball is a great addition to the deck.
He's doing it off screen, which is kind of annoying, but you know.
We're sorry for that.
Should be 6 if I've counted this correctly now. Which means he can take the KO on a Zapdos, and in doing so puts himself in position to actually kind of even this up because he goes to even prizes.
Oh, he puts an energy to the Marshadow, which is interesting.
He then retreats the Marshadow as well to make sure there's another energy in the discard pile, right? Yeah. But because he is now in the position to take 1-hit knockouts on everything other than the Buzzwole, and the Buzzwole's not actually a particular threat, he's kind of going to win the prize trade now because unless Kristian finds multiple ways of boosting his damage output, he's always 2-hit knockout. It's always a 2-hit knockout.
Yeah.
So we see another Nestball. One of those cards that when it was first printed we're like, I don't know if I'd ever play this. And now everyone's like, no, you definitely play this. It's a really good card. Especially with Jirachi in the format.
Yeah, I mean, the format changed. You're now actually evolving and...
So sorry.
The Nestball is a very great card. That's why we're having it full screen now.
Switching your deck for a basic Pokemon was something that a lot of people weren't too sure about, but is now not so bad. We should be able to hide the resource somewhere. There we go. As we see the Zapdos come active and take the knockout, it's just an Ultra Ball for another Execute, I assume. I hope chat enjoyed the close-up of Nestball.
Oh yes, chat did. It certainly did.
Just so everyone's aware, the people who aren't commentating are the ones on the computer.
Yeah, we're not blaming anyone in particular, but
but
yeah, I mean,
there's a certain former player who used to top fence, did quite well in Harrogate actually.
Oh yeah, I heard he played Gyarados.
Yeah, just really hype about Nestballs. But we see Luke continue to take his turn. He's in the position to take the knockout, which is really nice. And in doing so, moves down to 1 prize card left now. And how does Kristian take 3 prize cards before Luke takes the last one? I don't see any way.
I think he does not. He just
There are enough
doesn't.
eggs in play that one of them is going to attack him eventually, and then he loses. The only thing that isn't immediately knocked out in play is the Buzzwole, but the Buzzwole does 30 damage.
Yep.
Which is not really
Sledgehammer turn is over.
So it looks like we're going to even this game up at 1-1. It looks very likely.
Yeah, I wonder if Kristian is actually going to concede, because the time is running. Time is not stopping. And this second game took a while. We see him eyeing up a Kukui. He's not going to give that up.
I think these games are always going to take a while because they're just one prize.
Yeah. And they are not one-hit
KOing. it forces
takes a while.
Like at least 10 turns out of the game.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the point now where, it might be beneficial to go, right, okay, let's go game 3. And that's exactly what we see.
That's what's happening.
So we see that whilst Luke in the first game might have been correct.
I mean, his setup was horrible, to be honest.
In the first game, and the second much better. So it turns out that when he said it's not very good, it may not be as bad as he feared, simply because of the fact that when he does get going against Zapdos, they're just not ever doing enough. 80 damage is never significant.
That's
the other decks that had that kind of switch to do damage did 120, Glissapod, but also had access to things like Armor Press being very bulky, Crossing Cut to take a big knockout occasionally, and it's just
Kristian also
tricky.
had kind of bad luck with his damage maximum or stacking.
Yeah,
the Electro Powers didn't really come when he needed them.
Nope.
The Kukui, he got it as a supporter in his first turn, so that's not very optimal. You don't really want to see them in those situations.
I think that's really what Luke has been banking on with his run today, is these decks just aren't equipped to actually hit 160.
Yeah.
And then only take 1 prize.
Yeah.
Like, they can't do that 6 times. The decks just physically can't do it. Okay, they can take out some of the stuff on the bench, but they just run out of resources and ways of keeping the damage output high enough to be able to take consistent KOs.
Yeah, I can see that. But the thing is, I also think that I can understand Luke when he says that playing this deck feels not very good, because you feel like you're not really getting anywhere. Your opponent is taking baby steps, and you're taking small steps. They're just a little bit bigger, but they're still not huge.
Like, it's when he gets set up and can take a 1-hit KO and then not take a 1-hit KO, it's fine. So we should be pretty good.
Chat reminds us to stay hydrated.
Yeah, I've already got coffee.
We're drinking coffee.
Happy.
We're happy. Don't worry, we're fine. I am hoping you're staying hydrated as well.
So prize cards for Kristian, not as many Guzma. Couple of the electric energy in there, the lightning energy means that he is going to be relying more on his rainbow and his lightning energies. Also, I've just noticed that Kristian is one of the few people who is putting the Prism Star logo on his set list. He actually draws out the Prism Star logo.
But what he's also doing is he's writing Pokemon, energy, and then trainers.
That's
and I'm
slightly,
like, I am one of those persons who prefers to have things in order.
Okay, so it's a Nihiligo start for Kristian. It's going to be a while before having two prize cards happens for Luke.
And this is even a fairy card.
Psychic.
Is it? Oh, psychic?
Psychic.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, it looks so pink.
But it's going to be a while before the Nihiligo is able to do anything. And also, if he copies Tropical Shake, it's doing 20 because he only plays lightning energies.
Yeah.
But it'd be kind of fun if he can reach it. Never actually, maybe you do it for style points if it gets to that point. But
yeah, he might just not do it.
So Jirachi to the active. And we haven't seen a supporter yet, so that means he can kind of, gonna need the Guzmas, which means he probably has a way of getting to the Zapdos in hand, which basically says, look, Luke, you can play what you want, but something is being KO'd. I'm grabbing something off that bench and I'm taking it out. So Luke is probably going to have to try and find a copy of his one copy of Marshadow so that he's able to take the KO at some stage.
Yeah.
Deny the Guzma, but Jirachi wakes up And so Luke has a lot of search cards in his hand there. He has multiple Nest Ball. I think he has the Nest Ball and an Ultra Ball.
Yep.
Which means he can really start getting multiple Pokemon in play so that he can get set up, because we've seen it does struggle occasionally to get there. But as soon as he is set up, he's actually, 120's good.
You mean actually?
Okay, that one was stretching it. That was really stretching the egg buns.
You think so?
Yeah, you didn't smash that one. But
Not cracking enough.
dear. So we could even see the option to do something along the lines of attach, do the multiply, so you can get as many eggs out as play. So he can get an extra one out if he has to. But he's also going for the Shuckle, so he can immediately ditch the energy cards he doesn't want to see.
Yeah,
This is
that's
really,
good. You thin out your deck.
But it's cards that he never wants in his hand.
Yeah.
So it's really just going, right, okay, cool. Not only is this damage later, but I didn't want to view it there anyway.
It looks like he's also going for a Grass Energy.
Well, he's able to do that because he knows he has 6 available.
Yeah, true.
You know he hasn't prized any.
True.
He also has access to energy recycle system, which I think grabs an energy from the discard. I genuinely don't remember seeing that played. But if he is able to take the grass out of thing, it's another resource. It's another out to energy at any given time.
True. And we see the third Execute hitting the bench, hitting the playing field.
Luke's definitely had more of a setup this turn, this game, and he hasn't used his supporter yet. So if he can finish this off with a Lily,
oh, that would be huge.
then he can really go, right, okay, we've got all our outs.
Oh, that's what we're seeing. If I'm not.
Yep, that is definitely a Lily being played. So he gets 7 cards plus the one he already had. So he's now
tremendous.
able
and
to.
I think we
he has
can see an Ultra Ball. Yeah, and there's a fighting type energy.
Yeah.
But he spares that one.
Yep.
Probably going for an Exeggutor next turn.
Yeah. Well, what he wants to do is try and save some resources so that if he does get disrupted or Kristian is able to find ways of taking KOs, he can kind of go, right, it's fine, suddenly I can respond.
Yeah.
You don't want to broadcast immediately all of your energy is ready.
Yeah.
Because it means that Kristian might go, okay, well maybe he doesn't have outs to take the one-hit knockout, which you want to kind of bait them into, right? You want them to make the mistake of underestimating how easily you can hit the numbers.
True.
So the Guzma that Kristian took last turn being used.
Which was more of a switch now.
And takes the KO to take the first prize of the game. But his board isn't looking particularly solid. So
It really is not. But let's see, what's Luke going to do now?
So
we
now,
know that there is an Ultra Ball coming up next.
Yep, he just wants to hit the grass energy at this stage, and he's pretty happy.
So we see an Acro Bike.
Uh-huh. So he has access to the Nest Ball. He's just trying to work out what he wants to take. Was that a Kukui? Okay, it was a Kukui to guarantee the KO.
Sorry.
That is actually a really nice line. Means he gets the damage without having to hit it. But Nest Ball, a really good card.
Especially here, in this deck.
Yeah, well, it's very useful in Lost March and this for being able to grab both the basic Pokemon and the energy, depending on what you want, and requires not having to use any resources to do it. It's just like, cool, I'm just going to go get the thing.
Yep.
And we see the Exeggutor as well. The Zapdos in the active should be concerned, as if there is an Ultra Ball, so there's already 3 energy in discard.
Luke hasn't quite finished his turn. We see another Ultra Ball and a second Exeggutor probably coming into play.
Yep. Getting ready for the next turn. Right, cool. Even if you somehow find a way of KOing this, there's another one.
And this should already be... Is it 5 different energies in the discard pile?
He'd need 5. I don't know if he has 5 yet.
There's definitely another energy.
There's 3, 4.
4. I think there's a grass energy as well.
No, with the Kukui, he already has it.
Oh, yeah, true.
So, really big turn of going, right, cool. Turn 2, 120, go away. Not dealing with any of this Zapdos nonsense. We just want to start taking KOs. You got to work for this now.
Just shaking this palm tree a little bit.
I'm going to have to ask him how he has picked this deck, because, I mean, it's clearly good in this matchup. I'm not entirely sure how its matchups against other decks go, but clearly here it's fine.
But I feel like, at least from what we've seen on stream, there is a lot of Zapdos around here today, so he made a good meta call, probably not knowing it at all. Also not expecting it. Am I exaggerating?
Oh no. I'm going to need more coffee. As we see, what you can't see, so just for everyone else, what you can't see is Philip basically, like, I'm fine, thanks Philip, but you basically saw him turn inside out at that last pun. As we see Cynthia for Kristian so that he can get a fresh hand. Had no switch card for the Jirachi available, has no attacker that he really wants to switch into, and even if he did, it's just not enough. One Electro Power has been played, so a Zapdos that he can hit now would be up to 110, but he needs 2 more damage modifiers.
Yeah, that's a lot to ask for.
It's a tall order.
And it doesn't really help him at all, because if this Exeggutor, it's a hard name, if this palm tree
gets knocked out,
there's a grass energy in the discard pile, and another Alolan Exeggutor on the bench.
Yep.
Waiting to get ready, and this would also be enough to KO a new Zapdos.
So it's an Ultra Ball for, I assume, a Zapdos, so we can at least start doing some damage. Oh no, the Coco, so we can get the energy in play. That also makes sense.
But looking at the clock, those players need to start playing a little bit quicker.
Yeah, but it's very easy to lose track of time, especially because their game 1 was quite so short.
Yeah.
You can really underestimate how long or short the first game was.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're both playing, you know, at a reasonable pace of play. Oh, we see the Tapu Koko GX come in. Is able to use, with the Electro Power, is able to take the knockout.
Yeah.
so
There's some kind of discussion going on.
Is it basic electric energy or is it lightning energy? I actually don't remember the exact wording on
I think it's just energy.
So let's have a look.
Do they need a judge? I think they don't need a judge. I think they're fine here.
No, if it says basic,
Lightning.
yeah, it just says any number, right? So it's fine. That would even mean things like Electrode GX, the one that counts as double lightning. Would be fine. Sorry, I've got another one. I've got a grass. It's fine. You can actually find. So he's up to 120.
Yeah.
Currently, which is the damage cap without Kukui. But he also has Choice Band in the deck, I believe.
Ooh.
So
yeah, I mean he must play it.
So if he has Choice Band Kukui,
there are 2 Choice Bands.
A Choice Band.
He also has Shrine of Punishment.
Yeah, which was going to. In fact, they need to put the Shrine of Punishment damage is on. So the 150 he hits for here, plus the Shrine damage is the next 2 prize cards.
Oh my god, yeah.
So it does go to show that whilst you think it's only 20 per energy, it really does ramp.
It adds up. It adds up. It does add up.
And now it's going to be much more difficult for Kristian because he has no lightning energy in play.
He has nothing to work with on board. He has the Nihilego. He doesn't really want to use it. He has the Jirachi, which is a support Pokemon. Nothing you really want to attack with. And I think he decides to go for a Zapdos.
Yep, Zapdos in play, knows full well that even if he attacks with it, it's just going to get KO'd. And like, there's no easy prize on the board for him to take.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if he has the energy.
Not really.
So he's going to use Stellar Wish.
What is he wishing for?
Miracle. But he's at the point where he needs to get Lightning, a Switch card, and many Electro Powers. He's already played 1 Electro Power this turn, so we need 2 more to hit the KO. And that just doesn't seem like it's going to get anywhere because all Luke needs, and we can see it in his hand, is a Grass Energy. And then he just goes Tropical Shake again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not really going anywhere for Kristian.
Not at all.
With only a couple of minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, I really hope this game is going to end, because it's possible for this game to end.
Well, it's almost guaranteed, because as long as Luke gets one turn where he can take a knockout before time is called, he can take 2 prize cards in time.
Yeah.
So it's
we
very
see
likely.
rainbow energy for the Zapdos.
Yeah.
The escape board. There is an escape board already. Like, I wonder...
he just played it.
No. Like, there is an escape board right next to the Zapdos.
No, that is an electro power.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So it's
They look
110.
quite
Guzma hit the Jirachi because he's just seen that the hand was pretty dead for Kristian. And you can see that by keeping the turn short and simple like that, Luke is playing to win. So he's not content with a tie. He's like, no, hang on.
He's perfectly able to win.
You know, even in time, he can always take the 2 knockouts.
I'm actually wondering if he is still able to lose. The Tapu Koko GX is gone.
I don't know if he can still...
That's probably the Pokemon with the highest XP.
There's still a rescue stretcher, but... he's like... Kristian's like, alright, okay. Shuckle's just like damage boosts out of nowhere, this is annoying. He's also, I think, reading the attacks, because like, he's like, okay, if I'm going to use Nihiligo now, I can copy Shuckle's attack to put energy in my discard pile into play. That doesn't seem so good.
Not really, no.
So he's probably going to go, oh, this is awkward.
This is really awkward.
Guzma takes at least 1 more prize.
I mean, it's something. You got to start something somewhere.
Yep. Everyone, at this point, he's just looking for every prize he can. But Luke's very off-the-wall pick has seemed to be very good for this particular matchup. I'll have to have a chat with him. I don't think we'll have time for an interview, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
But if we have a chance to chat with him, I'm hoping I can. I really want to get his reasoning behind the list.
Oh yes, I want that as well.
Because it is a peculiar little thing to have cooked up. But we have a couple of minutes left on the clock. Kristian just going, right, okay, is there anything in here that's going to help me?
I think Kristian should pick up his pace. But yeah, I mean, probably no easy decisions here. Ultra Ball.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is that even if he plays at this speed, it doesn't matter because Luke has 2 turns guaranteed in time.
Yeah.
And unless Kristian gets everything he needs simultaneously, it never matters because Luke can just go attack, done.
Yeah, true. We see did a Prism Star? Is that
no, that's Jirachi. So,
sorry.
Jirachi hits the bench, and that is the end of Kristian's turn. So all we're going to see here is probably bench a couple of eggs, ideally. If you get a couple of eggs in play, you can also attach it. It means it doesn't get stuck as easily.
Yeah.
But there's an option here to try and get maybe a couple of eggs into play just in case.
Yeah, I mean,
and then go attack.
Oh yeah, he's going for another Shuckle, checking his deck. I mean.
Yeah, the energy are all out at this point, but he can now just guarantee. Oh, okay.
Energies are not out already.
But it basically means that he's not going to forget how many counts of things are available at this point. He knows he wins if he can attack twice. But he does need to do it quickly.
Going to be able to attack twice.
Yep. So we see. I don't know if I like playing all these cards because there's almost no way Kristian takes the KO.
Yeah, it's not necessary, and he's going to waste the turn. But it shouldn't matter.
KO as time is called.
Oh, so that should mean Kristian is turn 0.
Yes. I think time is about to be called, so.
But we will see. So yeah, it's Kristian's turn already. It should be.
Yeah, it will be. Because that literally ticked over as he declared the attack.
But
so
again, it should not make any difference.
Well, the only thing Luke has to be careful of is not getting something stuck in the active.
Yeah.
Because if the Shuckle gets stuck in the active, that's going to be really annoying because he knows that he just needs to switch it and he can win.
We see an Electro Power.
He does have what was the switch options he got left? He only has the Guzma as the switch options, I think. Yeah. So he would need to have a Guzma in hand. So electric power played.
Kristian checking Luke's discard pile. I think he's just checking, is there any way I cannot lose?
Well, there are ways he can not lose, but if they're the same, but there's not necessarily ways he can win.
Yeah.
Now being in time, he can't take the prize cards quick enough.
Yeah.
So he can play for the tie here, which is basically take the escape rope, put the Shuckle in the active position, but the thing is that Luke can just, I think Shuckle only has a retreat cost of 1.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I don't really know. I will check.
Something that, like, if he can get to the Absol to really stick it, but then all Luke needs is a second energy if it is only a retreat cost of 1.
Yeah, it only has a retreat cost of 1.
Yeah, so that attachment is key, because one more attachment, he can always retreat. Guzma's the one without,
yeah.
But, so basically he's saying, look, do you
so
have
the question
the energy?
now is, yeah, and there's the energy,
retreats.
that's the KO, and yeah, that's it. That was an interesting series for sure.
That was this really spicy little list. Bringing some trees to basically a very tropical location.
I had lots of fun
shaking off the
commentating
opposition
this matchup.
with taking out the Zapdos.
It was a cracking game.
Oh dear. So taking out the Zapdos Jirachi, which I'm guessing the deck was built to do. It probably does quite well in a lot of the other single prize matchups because it has just more HP.
Yeah, it's just a number you didn't plan on hitting.
Yeah, like 120, 130 is the thing that you're kind of like, that's your normal benchmark.
Or it's 210.
Yeah, 160, that's a lot. And it becomes a lot more tricky to take the consistent KOs. But he managed to do it. So able to kind of wrap up the round and go to 5-1.
It's crazy. I mean, imagine someone told you Alolan Exeggutor is going to go 5-1 here in Cannes.
Well, you know, something that always happens after a big tournament is people expect people to take the top deck.
Yeah.
And normally, so a lot of the top 8 decks are going to turn up.
Yeah.
And that means that you actually have a very accurate read on what most people are going to play.
Yeah, true.
And these are the tournaments where you can best counterpick. And if that's exactly what Luke has gone for, it's genius to have gone, right, okay, cool, counterpick, also I'm playing Alolan Eggs.
Yep.
So we'll take a quick break, I think, a quick word from our sponsors, and then we're going to take a little break before the next round, so see you soon.
So see you soon, don't go anywhere.